Good morning, everyone. It's November 29th, 2022. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for being here. Our first item of business are the minutes. And I do have a little tweak in the updates under me. It says safe schools of Wright County, but it's supposed to be, this is the third line down. It should be safe communities of Wright County.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Ketchmark.
Thank you. On page 5 of 6, third line down from the top, I'd like the line that starts after ERP, it starts with the word and it talks about frustrated. That's not accurate. That's more subjective term, but take out from the word and to the word investment and instead put Ketchmark noted that we have spent years of time and millions of dollars and had office and department heads in 2021 ask for and be granted staff because of ERP, and that I'm waiting to see positive results from the county's investment. And that would be it. So with that, I'd make a motion to approve the meeting minutes with your correction and
Madam
mine.
Chair, I also have one.
Okay. Commissioner Wetter.
Underneath my comments, the very last line about the level of Mill Creek and the lake, I would like to say Maple Lake.
Okay.
Identify the lake, Maple Lake. That's all. Thank you.
All right, with those corrections?
Yes.
Commissioner Ketchmark?
And I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark, seconded by Commissioner Wetter. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Minutes are approved. Review and approval of agenda. Does anyone have anything to add or remove? Administrator Kelly.
I do not,
All
Madam
right.
Chair.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda as presented.
All right.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Vesh, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved. Consent agenda. Is there anything that anyone would like to remove for further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Ketchmark?
Under number 4, letter A, number 2, the reappointment of the surveyor for discussion.
All right. Is there a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve with item A2 being removed.
I'll second.
all right, motion made by Commissioner Delyden, seconded by Commissioner Ketchmark. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Commissioner Ketchmark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just, for discussion, I wanted to ask the board if you had any other information on the request for reappointment other than the request for board action form that we were given.
Well, Commissioner Ketchmark, this is with several of our department heads. This is a formality to reappoint, so.
So the answer didn't have any more info, or?
So, Madam Chair,
Yeah,
I
Commissioner
think to your point in the past, especially when we've had new board members, we have had the surveyor come in the past and recap services that have been rendered in that department in the previous years. In this case, whether an oversight or not, it probably should have been included to it in bringing in Mr. Job to bring forward what he's done over the last 4 years, because I feel like that is the point of the statute in appointing that person to that position, is to actually make them actually articulate the work that's being done, and basically that reaffirming as a board to ask them to continue to doing that work. I think in my interpretation, that is the point of that statute. I would say due to the statutory limitations, I don't know that we could get him here before the first of the year, but we could definitely try to get him to come in here. We do have time and make that recap of the services that have been rendered in the surveyor's department.
And, I mean, Commissioner Vesh, Commissioner Ketchmark, I guess, too, we do get a certain amount of that with our budget process and, you know, what's been happening, and so we have gotten some reports, but if you,
Madam Chair.
yes.
And thank you for that, and Commissioner Vetch also. And I'm not protesting the reappointment. I'm just looking at, you know, the face value of the sheet and what we're asked to do. It's a six-figure salary person that's looking for another 4 years of employment, and if it was me, I wouldn't depend on this one page that's a little light to guarantee that I'm going to get another 4 years. I would want the opportunity to come in, and I'm not calling that out that should have been today, but for the future, I'd like to see more information for the commissioners in 8 weeks ahead of time for, I guess there's 4 that we would periodically be reviewing. But to hear about any, and I did my research with the staff yesterday, so I did get some information, positive feedback that I otherwise didn't see here. But this is also the last meeting by the statute that we could have done this. It couldn't be put off any longer. And so I think there's room for more info to the board sooner than we got this one. And I just wanted to get a feel from the rest of the board on, because I wasn't here 4 years ago, it stresses that that's when this was decided last.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, if I could just kind of brief the board as to what this process is. This is a formality under the statute. The surveyor and the other appointed positions are employees of the county. They cannot be terminated simply because their term, so to speak, under the law is up. This is a formality that you have to approve.
Madam Chair.
There's really no discussion here. It's not the surveyor coming here, I think it's vet services and the assessor coming before the board and asking for another 4 years of employment. This is a formality that you have to do.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Vetch?
so not to, I mean, to the point is that you could considerably, not that it would be prudent, you can't remove that person's employment, but you could say we aren't going to allow you to be the statutory surveyor or assessor. You could appoint, you cost you more money. You could appoint somebody different because for whatever reason that you didn't feel that they were adequate in their services or whatever. And we're not arguing that at this point. We're just more saying that, and I think to Commissioner Kaczmar's point is that if you're coming forward to ask to get this formality reappointed, then to at least do the due diligence, then one paragraph asking for it, then to do the due diligence and saying that, you know what, I'm going to present the work that I've done for the county over this last 4 years and earning that statutory appointment as such. I think that is the point that's being asked.
yes, Madam Chair. And if it's just a formality, then the question is, why are we here? This could just go through and, I mean, we're just going to say yes because the statute says so. It seems like there's more room, as Commissioner Vetch says, for other alternatives. Not that we would do it, but I think that it's worthy of more information. But with that, I'll make a motion to approve the reappointment of Steve Job as county surveyor for a 4-year term.
Motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Delyden. More discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That is approved. All right, moving on to our timed items. We welcome Alicia O'Hare.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Alicia O'Hare, Wright Soil and Water. I am just here for our annual AIS allocation. The state allocates $10 million among the counties based on number of accesses and parking spaces at those accesses. And our allocation for 2023 is $239,122. And we have an estimated rollover from last year of about $12,000. We'll have a couple odds and ends to finish up through the end of the year there. So I'm just asking that you pass the resolution accepting the money and then saying that you will send it over to Soil and Water for, since we just take control of the funds and manage the funds.
All right. Yeah, we certainly appreciate the funds that we get. It helps a lot. So, is there a motion to
I'll make
approve
that
this
motion.
resolution? Motion made by Commissioner Delyden. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Second by Commissioner Wetter. Any discussion?
So, Madam Chair, and the two of you probably know, I see you're going to spend a little bit more on, I mean, in a variety of different areas, but treatment particularly. Is there a particular species that you're proposing to go after? Have you, more for 2023 in the proposed budget?
Yeah, the treatment is, we're maintaining our treatment. We focus on starry stonewort first. We have 2 lakes that do have starry stonewort in them. They have been treated very aggressively. The lake associations are very dedicated to those, so we want to make sure that we treat those first, and so that those lakes are not exporting starry stonewort, which we are confident that that is currently the case. So we maintain those aggressive species that are not widespread, treating first, and then we move on to Eurasian water milfoil and curly leaf pondweed. But the truth is that we got over $200,000, or Lake Association spent nearly $200,000 in treatment of AIS species in Wright County, and that's just what was reported to me, not necessarily everything that was spent. So treatment is just always underfunded, so we try to keep our spending as much as we can. I think our biggest change was actually in our decontamination area, where the price is just going up according to wages, so that we pay those people appropriately. So that is, I think, one of our places that we're really increasing the budget.
And I stand corrected. You didn't change you haven't spent as much as you had budgeted. You're keeping the budget amount correct in the same for treatment. You're right.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Ketchmark.
Aye.
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 All right, resolution passes. Thanks, Alicia, for
Thank you.
your good work. All right. We welcome Mr. Barry Reinberger. Planning and zoning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. We have 2 items for you this morning. One is the adoption of Ordinance Amendment 22-4. This amendment clarifies some language with the duties and responsibilities of the zoning administrator, as recommended by our council as well as MCIT council. So Greg worked in conjunction with them on drafting that portion of it. There is a clarification and a definition where our definition of impervious surface changed in 2007, but we didn't reference it back to an area under access and driveways. And so we're clarifying that language to bring that up to what it needs to be. And then we're also fixing something that we missed when we adopted the solar ordinance. Each zoning district has a reference to solar energy systems or solar energy farms based on size. We changed the definition in the solar portion of the ordinance without referencing it back to the individual zoning districts. So right now, just for instance, the zoning district says, oh, a conditional use permit is needed for even a residential size under 10 kilowatts or more. Now we've upped that to 40. So they can actually, it's a permitted use up to 40 kilowatts. So we cleared that up and just referenced the ordinance section so that if we make a change again later, we don't have to go in and change each zoning district. So we just referenced the solar section instead of putting a specific amount in there.
Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion to approve Ordinance Amendment 22-4.
I'll second it.
All right.
Madam Chair, I appreciate staff as we have these changes in our current ordinances. A lot of times, like you said, they're in multiple different spots, and trying to clean that up so we don't have to flip through all the ordinances to find out and make all the changes throughout. We can only have to change it in one spot. Unfortunately, the practices of the past has put us in the situation where we forgot to change it here, forgot to change it here, kind of situation.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch. Is there a second?
It was seconded.
Oh,
Commissioner Delyden.
okay. Sorry. I didn't hear you. Second by Commissioner Delyden. Is there any other discussion on that? And then we have the resolution after this.
Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
just in addition, and Commissioner Vetch, we covered a lot of meetings on this, and you think you got everything figured out, but I thank the staff for taking initiative and clearing it up. I'm assuming before a real life scenario came up and then we were flipping through the books and had to rewrite it at that time. I assume that you maybe caught that before somebody presented something that says we need to change something.
We caught it before it actually became an issue. So
Okay,
was the good
that's
thing.
even better, because it's so much harder once you get the real life thing and you gotta change it for that case, but thank you. That's
All
it.
right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion passes.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
All right,
I'll second.
resolution approving the summary language for publication. All right. Motion made by Commissioner Lydon, seconded by Commissioner Wider. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call vote. I'll start with Commissioner Lydon.
Aye.
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 Resolution passes. Thanks,
Thank you
Barry.
very much.
Got lots of paperwork involved in all that. All right. Mr. Virgil Hawkins, or do we have Mr. Chad Hausman here?
Virgil's home, literally under the weather.
Oh,
So,
boy.
Commissioners, Chairman Houston, thanks. I have one item for you today, resolution updating our bridge priority list. Basically what we did is it's our 6 bridges that were previously on the list, and we added Eastwood Avenue from Franklin Township. Little background, in order for bridges to be eligible for state, federal funding, they have to be on a priority list approved by the board, which is what this current list is. And in order to be eligible for these funds, they have to be on the list and also be below the score, which is basically rated from 0 to 100. And once they get below 60 for a local planning index, which is a summary of all the bridge analysis criteria they look at. So we have our bridge inspector in the office, and we consulted out to evaluate all our bridges. And if they're under 60, they're eligible. And this resolution would add the Eastwood Avenue Bridge to allow us to work with the township and try to plan a replacement of. And this is the Eastwood Avenue is south of Delano between 16 and 17, where they get close together. It crosses the creek and connects 16 to 17. So that's where that bridge is. The state aid office requests this to be updated periodically. We did it in 2021, and like I said, we're just adding the Eastwood Avenue Bridge.
All right.
Any other questions about that?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Ketchmark.
And I talked to Virgil yesterday about this, and a typical question that a commissioner would get, and I'll ask this of you, you can clarify for all of us, but
Bet.
we've got, the one bridge is scored at 53, and it's scheduled for 23, 24. Another bridge is scored at 42, and it's scheduled to be fixed in 2025. Can you explain the logic in a decision like that for the constituents that might take a look at this and ask that?
It's a good question. So you'll see like the CASA 5 bridge is a 41. That's about our lowest. But we applied for federal money and were awarded federal money, but that's not till 2024. So we've got 6 bridges that are eligible to be replaced. We want to replace roughly 1 a year for the next 6 years is our plan. And the 2 bridge, which is being done in 23, that is the Stearns County line. So it's a joint project. So we work with our adjoining county on what works for them from a timing perspective, and next year works for them. So that's why that one is done prior to the 5 bridge. The 53 on the township bridge, we don't fund that, the township does. And so we'll be working with them on scheduling that. The 48, like I said, it's not like a 53 to a 48. There is a difference, but relatively they're the same condition roughly. It could be a little bit more cracking on the deck, drops it from 48 to 41. It's not imminent. There's nothing from a safety perspective to the public. It just means they're all eligible. If there's a safety perspective, we'll lower the posting for weight on it. We'll, in the rare instances, we'll close a bridge. But these are all eligible, and like I said, there's no safety to the public with these current scores. So it's just a matter of timing them with other projects. Like the 5 and 7 bridges, we have overlays on the pavement, so we're getting the pavement done first, and then we'll come in and do the bridge after, and tie into the new pavement. So
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Besh.
so on a joint bridge effort like CASA 2, does Stearns County have to have it prioritized similar to where we do? So if you have a
Yes.
situation where one county doesn't prioritize, I would say like 19, and that Hennepin County had it prioritized way 100 years down, and Wright County had it prioritized as number one.
Right.
It would be,
As long as it's on their list, it's fine. It doesn't, and then it just comes down to prioritizing the budget to replace it. So yeah, so if it's below the 60 and we want to do it in 5 years, and they're say, well, because we're actually pretty lucky in Wright County, we don't have a lot of deficient bridges. There's many counties that have much bigger issues than we do. So we're sitting pretty good. Like, we've done one bridge in the 10 years I've been here. And now we'll be doing 6 in 6 years. And these are basically, if you see them, you don't really notice if you ever run them. These are our old timber style bridges with a bituminous deck on them. So they're, cheaper, more economical design from in the past, and we don't do them anymore. So this will allow us to get rid of all those timber design, which are more prone to rapid deterioration. So we'll get them out of here and out of the way. So,
And a lot of those were addressed in
Yeah.
prior years, so
Yeah.
that was good.
and we want to get the township on here, and we'll work with them because we do know it is an issue for them to try to secure the funding. So we do need, I should also clarify, our town bridge account is capped at 700,000. So unless we do a project, it'll stay 700,000. It'll make it down to, Southside did a bridge a few years ago, dropped it down to almost nothing, and then it gets refilled up to 700, and it can't go over until we do a project. So that's why we wanted to at least get a project on here, and Eastwood's qualifies, but their bridge is gonna be more than 700. So we also need to go after state bridge bonds, which we need our legislators to refill that tank. 'Cause
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Wetter?
you said the township, which township?
Franklin.
Okay, that's why I
Yeah,
thought.
sorry, Franklin
I
Township.
wasn't sure
Yep.
which side.
Yeah, so, and if we get state bridge bonding, their share would be 20,000. They pay 10,000, the first 10,000 of engineering, and they pay the first 10,000 of the bridge, of the construction costs, and then everything else is covered, eligible for state and town bridge accounts. So, but we need that state bridge bonding pot refilled, statewide, it's not available.
so Madam Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner
who
Bench.
sets is that a statutory 700,000 limit?
I don't know if it's statutory or if it's just established by state aid.
Okay.
So I think there's a process where we could try to go above that, but I'd have to read into that a little bit more because I saw something about that, so I can
Just
check
because of
with state aid.
inflationary costs, 700,000 doesn't go nearly as far as when that was probably set a
No.
decade plus ago.
And a lot of township bridges are 10-foot box culverts, so those are well under 700,000. But in this case, it's not. So it's going to be expensive. You'll see all our bridges are well over 700,000. So if you got a township crossing a major creek, that's going to be, it's $1 million bridge, probably. But if it's box culverts, we can do that for well under 700. So, yeah.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Ketchmark?
One more question, maybe for clarification, but the word is used twice here, and you mentioned it once, the word deficient. For those listening or watching or reading later, can you explain what's meant by that as far as urgency or safety concerns or not?
As far as urgency or safety, it doesn't mean anything. Deficient could be, it's supposed to be 30 feet wide, it's only 24. It's deficient in width. Doesn't mean it's unsafe, it's just deficient. So, and that's, so that's what it means. It just means that there's certain analysis items that either don't meet standards or aren't at, above 60. If it's above 60, it's adequate. If it's below 60, it's deficient. Then we can start looking at replacing it. But it shouldn't be, that term deficient shouldn't be taken as there's a safety issue to the public. So,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
All right. Any other comments? Otherwise, I'd look for a motion to approve this resolution.
Oh, and I should clarify, I sent an updated resolution to Wayne. I think she's got that. So the Eastwood Avenue Bridge should be 940,000 total on the resolution you're approving. I just want to clarify, you got that?
I have, yep.
Okay, good,
Sounds-
good, yep.
Yep.
I'll make
Sure.
a motion.
You make,
Yeah, I'll make a
second it.
motion to approve that.
Motion made by Commissioner Lyden, seconded by Commissioner Vetch to approve this resolution for the bridge replacement. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. I'll start with Commissioner Vetch.
aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
All right. We've got 6 minutes before our scheduled public hearing. Let's move on to our items for consideration. Administrator Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Every year, we do have to set the elected official's salary as dictated by 3 different statutes. For the sheriff's 387.20, county attorney 388.18. The relevant one for commissioners is 375.055. Need to be set prior to the beginning of the year, so looking at a date to hold that. Was looking at Monday the 12th at 3 p.m., which would be following the Human Services Board meeting, if that would work for the board. I've checked already with the 2 elected officials, and it does work for their schedules, if that works for you.
We're looking, I'm sorry, for December 12th at 3 p.m.
Correct, yes. I don't know if you have a specific order you want to take those in. I believe last year we did the board first of those. We should also talk the per diem rate as well at that meeting.
All right. Does that date work for everyone?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting for December 12th at 3 o'clock.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Delyden, seconded by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any discussion? So we can set, or do we need to pick any particular order, or you can just determine that, Administrator Kelly?
We'll agenda it probably just board first, following what we did last year, which I think
Okay.
was the board, then I think the sheriff and the attorney, if I remember correctly. So if you had a preference. We've done it different orders,
Right.
different years,
I
so.
think it ended up becoming a holistic discussion every
Generally
time
it does.
anyways.
Exactly, so, all right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that meeting is set for December 12th.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Shall have a few minutes. Want to do a advisory committee report? You have a 3-minute report, Mr. Ketchmark?
All right, Madam Chair. I had one, it was a emergency service board / fire chiefs meeting last week, and one thing that was brought up, emergency manager was there talking about the new radios that the sheriff's office is gonna get. That prompted a question by a fire chief on what are you gonna do with the old ones? And if they're gonna be available. So I'd like us to consider at some point a process for the radios. And I talked with Administrator Kelly, and he had a little feedback from, I think, from the sheriff's office on their thoughts. But an inventory of the radios, how many do we have? How many in-house do we need for either parks, highway, and maybe spares for the sheriff's office? And if there's a value for trade-in or outright selling at maybe a minimal cost to fire departments if they have a need. And that for starters, if we can talk about that at the appropriate meeting.
Sure.
And whatever legal options we have, because it is county property, to figure that out.
And we've helped fire departments in the past with radio supplementing, that kind of thing, what their costs are.
So that's all I had for an update on meetings, Madam Chair.
All right. Mr. Lyden, do you have
Um,
2-minute report?
Yeah, Commissioner Vetch and I, we've been working with our attorneys regarding negotiations, and things are going very well, I think, with negotiations. We had, on the 17th, the Trailblazer board meeting, my last one. It was fun. It was real. Wasn't real fun, but no, it's a bunch of good group of people there, and I think that Trailblazer, other than issues that everybody's having with buses unable to get them and that sort of stuff, there's a lot of room for growth with the Trailblazers. So I'm looking forward to seeing that here in the future. But without the drivers and without new buses, it's going to be tough to do much growth at all.
Yep.
And that should be it.
Well, We are just at about 9:30. We have public hearing scheduled for the Crawford Lake Improvement District.
Madam Chair, just a reminder, this was first on the agenda on October 4th and continued to this date. With that, I know Attorney Bowen has some materials prepared, so.
Yep. Sure. Thank you. All right. This is a public hearing on the petition for the establishment of a lake improvement district pursuant to Minnesota statute section 103B 521. I'd like to welcome everyone who has come here today. Under consideration at this hearing is whether the county board should approve the petition to establish the district. The purpose of this hearing is to hear input from the Commissioner of Natural Resources as well as the public. This is an evidentiary proceeding. Proceedings are being recorded in order to preserve the record. The order of business for the hearings will be as follows. First, the county's legal will present the procedural and legal requirements. Following the staff presentation, staff will provide the county board with a report from the Commissioner of Natural Resources. After this input is received, I will open the hearing for public comment. The board would like to hear your comments on the proposed Lake Improvement District and any information relevant to that purpose. During the public hearing, commissioners may ask questions of staff or comment in order to clarify any testimony. In addition, if a member of the public asks a question and a commissioner believes that a response from the staff can readily resolve the question or enrich the testimony, the commissioner may ask me to have the appropriate staff member speak to the question. I will exercise my judgment as to whether to allow such discussion. However, commissioners' expression of their positions and general discussion concerning the subject of the public hearing should be avoided during the public comment portion of the public hearing. Board discussion will occur after all members of the public have had a chance to speak and the public comment period has been closed. Board discussion may occur and be concluded at a subsequent meeting as the board decides. If a member of the public would like to make a comment, please stand and address the board when I recognize you. Speak clearly and state your name and address for the record. If you have a specific question concerning the petition, we may ask staff or legal counsel to respond. If you have anything in writing you wish to submit, you can provide it to me before the close of the public comments, and I will note each receipt in the record. To ensure that all wishing to comment on the petition concerning the establishment of a lake improvement district, I may limit the time any single speaker may comment to 3 minutes. Please limit redundant comments or repetitive comments. Would any of the board members wish to offer any further comments before we begin?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Lyden.
just to address the letter that we received regarding the DNR, if.
Yes,
the
and Attorney Bowen will be next.
Okay, just,
Commissioner Dahl, I can speak to that during my comment portion.
okay.
Thank you.
So we are ready to turn the meeting over to Attorney Bowen for presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a public hearing on the petition for establishment of the Crawford Lake Improvement District. This is pursuant to Minnesota statutes, section 103B.521. This lake is located in Rockford Township, Wright County, Minnesota. Notice has been given pursuant to statute to the required parties. Pursuant to Minnesota Rule 6115.0971, when filing a petition for establishment of a lake improvement district, the petitioners must provide a statement of the lake's problems and objectives, the proposed types of water and related land resource management programs to be undertaken, including a detailed statement of intended studies, management programs, remedial actions, and construction projects, a statement of the means by which the programs will be financed, a map showing the boundaries of the proposed lake improvement district, the number of directors proposed for the district, copies of any local ordinances which might regulate the use of the lake or public access, any information indicating the degree of local interest and commitment to the management, the identification of any lands and waters which may be adversely affected by the implementation of the district and a preliminary assessment of those adverse effects. A statement outlining the adequacy and ownership of public accesses, including public lands and beaches, and an estimate of the total equalized value of the property within the district, as well as any other information pursuant to rule or statute. At this hearing today, I will be presenting the position of the Minnesota Commissioner of Natural Resources. I have provided the board with a copy of that report. I have also provided a copy of that email to petitioners. It will be submitted on the record today. After I state the commissioner's position, the record shall be open for public comment. At the conclusion of the public comment pursuant to rule, no sooner than 10 days from this public hearing, but within the next 30 days, this board needs to formally convene to approve or disapprove the petition for the district. And I've pre-selected December 13th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m., but we can discuss that further. So, Madam Chair, at this time, I think it would be appropriate for me to provide the report from the Commissioner
Yes.
of Natural Resources.
Please read the report, Mr. Bowen.
Thank you. And just as a caveat to the board and to the public, it is written in an email. It is written as a letter to me, but it would suffice as a report pursuant to statute, and it would fulfill the statutory requirement. The letter reads as follows. Mr. Bowen, the Department of Natural Resources will not be providing an advisory report on the proposed Crawford lid at this time because the DNR has not received a complete lid proposal containing all of the elements listed in Minnesota Rules 6115.0970 subpart 1. Currently, the DNR has only received some general statements about the goals of the lid and has seen the list of signatures in support of the petition. The elements listed in Minnesota Rules 6115.0970 subpart 1 are regulatory requirements, and formation of the lid cannot proceed without them. The lack of information concerning the lake's problems and the projects and programs intended to alleviate these problems means the DNR cannot evaluate the intended actions of the lid for technical feasibility or offered expert advice in our advisory report. The lack of a map of the proposed lid, coupled with an absence of detailed discussion about the proposed projects, also means the DNR cannot properly evaluate the adequacy of the proposed lid's boundaries as required by Rule 6115.0920 subdivision 5. I understand that the petitioners are working with James Bedell, DNR area hydrologist, to gain a greater understanding of the lake, its problems, and feasible approaches to ameliorate these problems. We look forward to receiving a complete lid proposal when the work has been completed. Thank you, Kathy Metzger, Land Use Hydrologist, Department of Natural Resources. I will just provide the board also with some just updates here. I met with the petitioners yesterday at the Wright County Soil and Water Office located in Buffalo. Along with me were Mr. Bedell from the DNR, as well as Alicia O'Hare from Wright County Soil and Water. We had a very productive conversation about the future of Crawford Lake, what projects could be undertaken, what resources are available, including grant funding, local businesses that can provide services to the property owners. The property owners, the petitioners are actually here today, Jerry and Mary Erickson. I told them ahead of the hearing that they could provide input if they would like. Otherwise, I could just relay information from them. And what I am comfortable in relaying to the board today is that the Ericksons, as well as the petitioners on the matter, are aware that the DNR doesn't support the formation of the Lake Improvement District at this time. They understand that there probably are more studies that need to occur, more information to be gathered to really make this a successful lake improvement district, if that is the way it proceeds in the future. Really, at this time, there's more studying that just needs to be done on Crawford Lake. It's a lake that is weedy. It has a lot of muck. It's not navigable. There are things that can be done to ameliorate this, short of a lid, but a lid may be appropriate in the future. So there have been ongoing conversations about this. If a lid is not established, then there are projects and there are steps to be taken in the interim. So with that, Madam Chair, I think at this point I can cede my time here, and then I will just allow this to be open for public comment. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All right, this is a public hearing. I'll open this up for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion. Attorney Bowen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I would ask, actually, can we reopen the public comment, please?
Sure.
Just for a procedural matter?
Yep.
Thank you. I would just ask that the email from the DNR itself be entered into the record. I've read it, but I would just ask that the email itself
All
be
right.
entered into
Thank
the
you.
record.
And I should have asked if there's anyone that has any written comments that would like to bring them forward too, so, all right.
Thank you.
All right.
And
Then I will close the public comment part.
thank you, Madam Chair. And I would just ask if Mr. Kelly can confirm that December 13th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. Would work.
That should work.
Okay, we can continue the matter to that date. This is
right.
the notice to everybody here today that December 13th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. here in the Wright County Boardroom, there will be a discussion by the county board to decide whether the Lake Improvement District is approved or not approved. We'll be submitting a request for board action and proposed resolution to the county board as well.
All right, is there a motion to continue this public hearing to December 13th?
So moved.
All right,
I'll second it.
motion made by Commissioner Besch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Delyden.
John, from my understanding here, we can't even approve a lid until the Lake Association provides something to the DNR.
Well, it's the statute really contemplates DNR approval, or at least DNR acquiescence and cooperation here. So, as far as if you're asking for my legal opinion on it, I would agree that you do need the DNR's cooperation and approval of it, just because the DNR is so integral in any of these projects and is working very closely with these lids. So I think as far as my legal opinion goes on it, the lid really cannot proceed without DNR.
Now, you met with the DNR yesterday. Will there be information available by the 13th that the state will have approved?
Well, I think that this email really constitutes the state's response on this. And because public hearing is, or the public comment is over, it really is just up for discussion at the hearing on the 13th between the board. There'll be no further information submitted into the record.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have 17 minutes before our next public hearing. So I will move on to advisory committee advisory report updates. Do you have anything, Commissioner Besch?
So, the Wright County Economic Development Partnership met, was that 2 weeks ago, because of Thanksgiving weekend there. Continuing working on some marketing initiatives throughout that we're going to roll out through the county, doing some video marketing properties. As Commissioner Delyden stated with Trailblazer, ridership is up, but acquiring buses is almost impossible, and finding employees is almost equally as challenging, so meeting that need is only growing more challenging. Other than that, that's what I've got.
All right, Commissioner Wetter.
Okay, the Historical Society met. I don't know if a lot of people are aware, but the back of the building, they've cleaned up and stuff, and they've actually painted. If you go out in the country, you sometimes see these patches on barns where it's barn quilts. And what they did is they painted a barn quilt design on the back. So they felt that this was their contribution to the campus so that people can look out the windows and that way and see something better than what was there, which was a bunch of their junk that was, kind of left over. And then, of course, there's the Festival of Trees. That's starting on December 1st through January 6th. And this year, they're taking, the competition is between the different organizations, the different historical societies in the county. And, okay, they're open on Tuesday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, Saturday, 9 to 3, and Sundays through Monday, they're closed. Also, a fundraiser's coming up. They're going to have an online auction from December 6th through December 12th, so look there for Christmas presents. Then the Water Management Task Force met, and the county water plan has been extended because of all the one watershed, one plans going on right now. And we had a workshop where we went over priorities and issues for the county on wetlands and lakes. Also, like to mention about the MRC. I wasn't there or anything, but making you aware that they have a new executive director right now. AMC is filling in for time being, but as of I guess a short time ago, Capitol Hill Associates is going to serve as the executive director. And they have 4 staff members. One will be actually the manager, one will be the lead lobbyist, and 2 others will also fill in where needed. So I think that might be an improvement from what they had before. So just kind of fill you in on what's going on there.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if you have not been to the Festival of Trees, that's actually one of the highlights of the season. My grandchildren love going out there, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I don't know how many, they have like 60 trees or something decorated. It's a great thing for everyone to see.
But yet, again, no evening hours.
Yeah. It was, at least the commissioners didn't have to have a competition this year for trees. That was fun. It was fun decorating. All right, so I haven't had a lot of advisory committee meetings since our last board meeting, but I've had the Annandale Safe Schools. We always have great discussions there. It's fruitful to listen to what the departments and the different schools, the administrators and principals, and well, I guess we didn't hear too much from the nurse, and also from our departments and our court services and sheriff's office, county attorney, HHS, and the Annandale Police. So it's always great to go to those meetings. And also I just visiting my cities and townships. So I went to the city of Annandale, Albion Township, Corinna Township, and City of Buffalo so far. So I'll visit my last 4 in December. Looking forward to that. Seemed like there was something else I was going to add, but can't think of that right now. So we still have about 11 minutes here, so we will, if anyone has any other comments before we recess. Oh, Administrator Kelly, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
out of order today, so I
don't know that I have 11 minutes per se, but just a few updates, of course. One for the public, the License Center is doing a Real ID info session this evening. 4:30 to 6. That deadline is coming up next year, so it's been delayed a few times with COVID, so just to be aware, so if folks are interested, that will be this evening. Just a couple updates with the board. Of course, we do have the AMC conference next week, so looking forward to that. And some of the presentations I think will fit very well with some of the things that we're working on with the county. So have extended the offer to our newly elected commissioners as well, which will be attending, as well as doing a lot of kind of end of year work to wrap up for the county, but also to help an orientation with our new commissioners as well coming on board here in January. So a lot going with that. As mentioned by Commissioner Vetch and Commissioner DeLayden, a great deal of time is being spent on negotiations right now. I think things have gone well. I feel like we've had a good discourse between the parties this year, but still work to do. And just a reminder again of our legislative meeting scheduled for Monday the 12th at 11. We had to move that due to a conflict with our Republican caucus, unfortunately with our legislators, so it sounds like we're going to have a pretty good turnout. So
Good.
With that, I don't
It's always
want
a
to have
good meeting.
other updates at this point, so.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else for now, we will recess until 10 o'clock. Thanks, everybody. Where's my pen? Oh, great.
Well, that's what we were just.
That's right.
Hope I grab your pen.
Good morning.
All right, everyone. We'll open our public hearing for the proposed 2023 fee schedule.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. As mentioned, we do try and adopt all of our fee changes as necessary at one meeting in the fall, latter part of the year, to conduct those, then to be implemented going forward. Notice was placed in the paper as required per statute. I should note that we have not received any comments in the administration office regarding any of the fee schedule changes. Also would like to note and recognize that at the recent workshop, there was a rather robust discussion regarding some of the fees regarding the special assessments. So just wanted to acknowledge that as part of the discussion. So with that, I would open it up to the board to solicit any comments from the public regarding the changes in the fee schedule.
Madam
Board,
Chair,
yeah.
what section is that under? Is that under admin or accessors or?
Relative to the assessments, that would be under the Finance and Taxpayer Services tab if you have the full fee schedule open.
Okay.
Commissioners, did anyone receive any comments from the public on this? All right.
Madam Chair.
Do you have any comments, Commissioner Ketchmark?
Thank you. Well, I started getting comments and questions back when it was proposed that we're gonna start charging the fee back in the spring. And the consensus of the 3 or 4 townships was if we're gonna be charged this fee, it's okay if that's what the true cost is that we're paying. And that led to some research, but that was the consensus of feedback that I got from the inquiring townships on that email. But I'd like to hear from who showed up otherwise too, if we don't have any other written comment here.
All right, we can open it up for public comments. So if there's anyone from the public that would like to come and address the board, please come, state your name and your address or city, township.
John Euchre, Albion Township. I talked to Mike Kresmick a couple times on it, and he said that this is possible to get this. Well, let's go back here. We've been doing this for years for the fire departments. It was per parcel, and it's a special assessment on our tax statements. And the way we understand that this was going to be charged $2.25 per parcel to continue to do this. It's been done for 1 year. We'd let it go, but what I gather is there's been some study on it, and it's possible to do this for somewhere around 20 to 40 cents per parcel. Is this possible? And if we do that, then we'd like to stay with, our township would like to stay with the system we had. If we got to go to $2.25, we're going to end up putting it on the levy. And it's worked well. All the years I've been on the board, this is what we've done for Maple Lake and Annandale both.
And thank you for bringing that up. We do have it on, the fee schedule is 40 cents, if that's correct.
Okay, well, that's what I
Yep.
guess.
But yeah, and it was good discussion to bring that up because it invoked, I guess, some further research and analysis by the finance team, and they kind of figured just the data entry part of it was 20 cents, but then there's some other costs that we kind of figured would be another 20 cents, essentially.
Right, see, it probably never gets changed every year. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 years before the rate goes up, and if there's new ones, normally the clerks send them in. So then-
Yep, so it was nice
It's
that they
worked.
lowered it. It was nice they lowered it.
Well, when you got bare land, why are we paying fire protection? So, okay, that's what I got.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Welcome.
Bob Newman, Albion Township. Just to reiterate a little bit on what John had previously said, I feel there's a very minimum cost to the county on the fire assessments because most building sites don't change. They always, you're going to have this fire assessment year after year and after year. And so once I'm sure the tax statements are all programmed to have that on there. So there's no real change on there. And then, and as John said, the clerks will tell the county to put the assessment on or to remove them based on the information that the township has. And so there's no real information gathering or other work that the county has to do other than just make sure that it's on the appropriate tax statements, and that's done by, year after year. So I think it's just a computer thing that once it's entered, it's entered. So minimal work.
Thank you. And some townships levy for this, so they don't have the special assessment.
Madam Chair, would it be a good time to hear from Lindsay on actually what is involved on a yearly basis, just so that the
Sure.
public is aware of that? That it's sometimes not quite as simple as one thinks it is.
Correct. Nothing's
morning,
ever quite
Commissioners.
that simple, right?
There is effort involved. There is a lot of back and forth communication between my staff and the clerks. We do currently, in the current system, which we are moving away from, have the ability to roll forward. We still have to touch every single parcel within the tax system. There's effort involved. It is not just a push the button and make sure it's good. But as we move forward into our new Tyler tax system, I don't know exactly what the process entails at this time. So I can't give you an estimate of the cost that the county will incur as we move forward into the coming year.
So, at the current time, you feel 40 cents is a fair assessment amount?
I think we can handle that, yes.
Yes, as we move forward and gather more information, then we'll be able to analyze the real cost of that. So we can make an adjustment as needed, up or
If it
down.
is, yes, agreed. If it is the desire of the board to charge what the cost, which the county incurs, we will need to reassess that in the coming year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Anyone else from the public that would like to speak? If not, we'll close public comments and bring it up to the board. Oh, yes.
Madam Chair, if I could,
Attorney
just a
Reiser.
correction I'd like to make under finance. We have 3 tobacco violation fees listed. I would recommend that those be deleted. They're already codified under section 110.999 as administrative penalties. They're not really fees. And our administrative penalty that we have outlined is significantly higher than these 3. So I just recommend they be deleted since it's already codified.
The tobacco, which one?
It'd be under the finance and TPS tab lines 63, 64, and 65.
I don't have my tab lines. You said tobacco, though?
It's under finance and
Yep,
TPS
I've
at the
got-
bottom,
yep.
and then
I've got that.
Excel's
Yeah, just don't.
lines 63 through 65,
Okay.
just underneath the special assessment fee.
Thank you. All right.
Just take out those.
Anyone from the board have any comments, or is that,
Madam Chair?
we'll move that as part of the motion, right? When to accept the fees, we'll delete those.
The board would like to, yeah. Staff, I would recommend you delete those, though.
All right, Mr. Ketchmark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, when I first checked into this and found that our fee schedule has shown for many years that we were actually charging and collecting this fee but in 2022 it was discovered that we weren't, and nobody could really find when that decision was made or by who that decided not to collect it. So schedule showed we were collecting it, but we weren't. Now we say we're going to, so based on my feedback with townships, I wanted to find out what that true cost was, so I sat down with finance staff and had them show me, what do you do, how long does it take, and who does it? So we went through that, and then Lindsay came to a meeting here a couple weeks ago and gave us that figure of 20 cents that she thought it was closer to. Now, I see the 40 cents here per parcel on the maintenance, but then there's a $1.75 special assessment setup fee, but you're proposing that we wouldn't do the 175, we'd just do a 40 cents inclusive, right, Lindsay? That's the way I understood. The 20 cents was gonna be the whole package, but now it's 40 cents.
We discussed this in pretty great detail at the last time we talked about it. I recall the discussion that we would have one comprehensive fee for both setup and maintenance as a per parcel fee of 50 cents per special assessment on each parcel.
And we had kicked 50 around, having in mind that it was gonna have to go to a public hearing, so we couldn't really get over the threshold of a recommendation at that, because
Correct.
that defeats the purpose of public hearing. So at 50 cents, we're more than twice what I'll say is the recommended amount that you were coming up with, and we're allowing a cushion per se for whatever variable could happen.
Yes.
And I would advocate for closer to that 50 cents instead of leaving it the same and saying, well, let's wait and see next year, because we review this every year. But if the current status of our record keeping says that this is adequate, I think that's our best bet to go by. The rest seems like it'd be speculation to change it any higher. So, yeah, 50 cents should be more palatable to the townships than the 225 or 215. But having in mind that they really weren't paying anything for the last several years as far as we know. And I don't know that they knew that either, from what I've heard, but that's what I have. Just wanted to clarify that.
So Commissioner Ketchmark, Lindsay, so that 175, I thought that was a one-time setup fee.
That is a setup fee, which for many of the special assessments is an ongoing annual fee.
Okay.
So if you were to have a long-term special assessment, some properties end up with maybe whatever it may be. It could be a 20-year. It's $1.75 for that initial setup, plus 40 cents per year for every year that the assessment continues.
That was my understanding, so.
In the instance of a fire assessment, that's a one-time fee every single year because we start over.
Okay.
There may be price changes. When we look at a long-term special assessment in our system, we set it up one time and basically forget about it. The system maintains itself and deals with it.
But with that, we'd have to look at each parcel each year, but
Correct.
still, yeah. So board?
Madam Chair, I'm still in line with Commissioner Ketchmark, having spent a good deal of time with him as well, kind of reviewing it. And I feel charging the amounts that are on the fee schedule currently would be hard to justify, so.
Yeah, I agree with, you know, the ones that you do, the one setup fee, and then it's kind of forgotten. The setup fee. I agree that probably on this instance with the fire assessments, that would be more palatable, as you said, if it's 50 cents a year instead of $1.75 plus 40 cents. So,
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Delyden?
but we're not just talking about special assessments for the fire district.
Correct.
We're talking about it for the cities, for
Yep.
TIFs and
Yep.
and septic or sewer systems and water
Right.
streets.
Yep.
So
Any
we're
and all.
talking a lot of different ones.
Correct.
So it's not just an easy fix.
In an ideal world for administrative purposes in my office, I would like to walk away with one fee for all special assessments.
Madam Chair,
Same thing for all.
And having had a number of conversations over the past how many months, Commissioner Catchmark and myself, even if it's a street assessment or a lit assessment or a fire assessment, a 50 cents special assessment setup and maintenance fee of 50 cents per parcel per year, it would accomplish the costs across the board. And that's the way I look at it, should be set up and worded as just that. A setup and maintenance fee, 50 cents per parcel
Yep.
per assessment.
Per parcel per year.
Per year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that
Well,
would
my thing would be
cover the
per
cost?
year per assessment, because if they have a fire assessment, a lit assessment, you're gonna pay 50 cents on each one of the assessment because you're having to set it up
Yes.
multiple times.
Yep, I would agree with that.
So,
Yep. Board, what do you think? If that will cover our costs, I think that's fair.
Okay.
because we lose a little bit on the first year doing the setup, but after that, we save a little bit on the subsequent years. But as those fire districts change, potentially, we have to go back. So
Yep.
it's kind of an ebb and flow, and 50 cents would be the adequate kind of number, what I see.
So combine those two lines.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the charges with, under Finance and Taxpayer Services, 56 and 57 being switched to just one special assessment maintenance setup fee of 50 cents. The ones under tobacco compliance be removed for the fees for having issues with failing violations.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Delyden to remove the 3 tobacco items and to combine the special assessments into one fee of 50 cents per parcel.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
All right, second by Commissioner Ketchmark. Is there any more discussion? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, yep, none opposed? All right, the schedule set for 2023. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. I guess there is no further business that I know of to come before the board, so we're adjourned at 10:19, and we'll see you back at 11.